Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one! Another one!
Oladipo!
One! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three and
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in. It is Wednesday. We've made it to the halfway point. It's hump day here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you, of course, by our good friends at Andy Moore Honda. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com and AndyMoore.com. Also, our good friends from the Wow Club. Make sure you sign up for the Wow Club. It's totally free. Go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Sign up and start earning dining dollars and more today. In addition to all the restaurants and other places in and around Bloomington that is a part of the Wow Club. Welcome aboard. Jim Coyle with you as always. Another great day. Looking forward to it. Incredible day, All-Star Day. Bob Kravitz from The Athletic will join us. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star, and Rick Bozich, the Hall of Famer, will join us as well. Hope your week's going well. What's new with you? I saw that the ACC has a new, they're going to be going with a new football scheduling practice as we hear of all these changes that are coming for a lot of people. For Indiana, of course, in the Big Ten, is getting rid of the divisions as these other conferences have done. The ACC, one of those, they're going to be using what's called a 3-5-5 method. They're going to play certain teams each constantly, and then they're going to start rotating, but it will allow them to play every team in the conference, each team to play every team in the conference within each 4 years. We'll talk more about that. Serena returns to Wimbledon in a loss, but it was a thriller. 7-5, 1-6, 7-6. So all kinds of summer stuff going on, but the new rankings coming out for rivals. Probably the biggest thing today to see where all the new guys land that Indiana has offers to. And that's quite a few. Bryson Tucker, an undecided 5-star. He's now number 4 nationally. Arias Bailey, a 5-star undecided. Obviously undecided. They're all undecided. He's up to number 7. Didn't say how many spots that they moved on this particular one. John Newell Fland from Archbishop Stepinac in White Plains, New York, holds an Indiana offer. He's up to the top 10. So that's 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 in the top 10 Indiana's offered. 4 in the top 12 with Yez Mizzi. Also having an Indiana offer. He's up to number 12. Everybody that Indiana has offered has moved up in the rankings from what I'm looking at. Dylan Harper from Don Bosco Prep in New Jersey, up to number 17. Asa Newell, a name you've heard us talk about, a recent offer for Indiana. He's up to 19. So you see that the guys Indiana's going after, those guys that I just mentioned, all in the top 20. Derek Queen, a name that you're very familiar with from Montverde Academy, down a little bit. Again, I don't know what he was before, but he's at 22 right now, and it says he's down a little bit. Liam McNeely, he's that Texas kid that no one's getting out of Texas, but he's down to number 27. Paul McNear up to number 30. Jonathan Powell at 43, so I guess he didn't move. Aiden Sherrill down to 50. Some of these guys not very familiar with, haven't heard a lot. Raleigh Burgess is at 120, so he didn't move. So mainly the movement up there in the top end But as you can see, Indiana with offers to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 in the top 20, 7 in the top 22, 8 in the top 30 offers, that is.
And you can't forget to mention Flory Badunga from Kokomo all the way
They
up
haven't
to number
offered him.
6.
But
Well,
they
I know
offered
you're going
him?
through offers,
Yeah.
but the in-state
Well,
guy is number 6.
And I didn't see that because I haven't. This particular thing I'm looking at is just concerning Indiana offers. But yeah, I did not see that. But he's up to what, number 6?
Yes.
That shows you. What was he before?
It says he wasn't even on the
Unrated?
list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unranked probably. That shows you also ranking smankings. Yeah, they carry some weight and they mean something. There is something there, but they're not always. They do not show growth. They don't show potential growth. They don't show your potential. They show what you are right now. They guess at your potential, but. Hey, everybody, hitting us up on the Andy Moore Honda hotline as well. Forrest, Chris, Pete, Michael, Kelvin, Joe, up and at it. But yeah, those weren't all of the guys. I kind of quit there but that's pretty much all of the guys. Jaden Mustafa, I didn't mention him. Kai Booths, they're in the top 100. But Indiana with going after a lot of guys, they're in the top. They're at the top. Now, we'll talk later in the week about where Indiana is with these guys. Not sure that they have deep relationship with any of those guys in the top right there, but it's early yet. These are 24 guys. So there's that. So you got all that out there to talk about. At the end of the day, how much does it really matter? Yeah, it matters some. Definitely. That's why we talk about it. But it shows the trajectory of Indiana's recruiting with the success behind it. So you got that. Indiana football are set to play UMass in 2027. The Indiana football program announced a future program on its non-conference schedule Thursday. The Hoosiers will host.
It's not a home and home. They're not going to do one where they go to UMass, are they?
Surely, gosh, that'll never happen again. I cannot imagine that. But the Indiana football program, the last time that the UMass and Indiana played was in 2012. The only meeting between the two programs. So I think that's a one-time deal. Or Indiana just has them coming into play.
Why? Well, at least there is some relational significance this time with the fact that Walt Bell used to be head coach there.
Yeah. So the schedule upcoming, speaking of which, here's the upcoming schedule. All right. So for this season, you've got the non-con games, Idaho, Western Kentucky, and at Cincinnati. All I can do is shake my head. Next season, you've got Indiana State. You play versus Louisville at Lucas Oil. Again, I don't like that. When they went up for Ball State, Indiana did not draw worth a snot. Indiana does not draw well on the road. Let's just be honest. Hell, I went to at the Gator Bowl and it was 80%. Tennessee.
To be fair, though, you don't need to be playing a team like Ball State at a neutral site. You shouldn't ever be doing that.
I give you that. You think that would have helped with the more people from the state coming in, but it did not. I don't know what Louisville is going to be like traveling wise. They were pretty fired up about their football program. Then it's been down, but they're kind of back up. They just landed the number one running back in the country, and that's who Indiana will be facing in
the amount of seats that will be filled for that game next year are almost solely going to depend on how well each team does this coming season.
Steve Charlotte on the schedule. My brother was former head of security for them. I think he's given that up now that he just retired as a state trooper. That's a shame. He could have had a trip to Indiana, to Bloomington. You go on to that's in 2024. Florida International at Louisville. So they do have to go to Louisville.
It's a 3-game series because the following year in 2025 they'll come to Bloomington.
Right. So 2024, you got Florida International at Louisville and Charlotte. But that at Louisville, man.
Again, it really depends on what's going to happen over the next couple of years. Are they going to hold on to Scott Satterfield? Is he going to build up Louisville to what Charlie?
Well, if Scott Satterfield's not there, then I'll promise you Jeff Brom will be.
That's another interesting thing to think about.
That will not happen twice. That Louisville job's not going to come open again, and they not get Brom. They will pull the money together. They will make him a very highly paid coach, higher than he is now. He's already a highly paid coach. He makes $5.5 million a year. But Louisville they will find the money to bring home the.
Now, Jeff Brom still has to continue to have success at Purdue, which right now he is. But if he has to sustain that,
how much success has he really had? He hasn't really had success. A lot of that's
he doesn't have to win the Big Ten championship necessarily, but he
come close though.
That's true.
They haven't done anything, but a lot of that they've had a lot of injuries. I'll give you that. But they haven't done anything. I mean, they beat Ohio State. They did do that.
Yep.
Moving on into the schedule, 2025. Now we're getting out there. Old Dominion and then Louisville at home and Indiana State at home. So they're back to 2025. It takes all the way until 2025 till having a normal non-con schedule with 3 games at home. So I don't know I'll have to look at the Big Ten schedule, and that's not even out now. They're because they're changing that. So we have no idea how many home games Indiana's going to have in 23 and 24. Probably
26. You got a whole non-conference shakeup with Colorado State, Ball State at home, and then a trip to UConn to make up for the year that the game at UConn got canceled. That's the reason that got rescheduled there.
When did that happen?
When the game got canceled?
Yes, COVID.
I don't remember if it was COVID or if it was because of storms, but
I don't remember any storms costing a game.
Because they only played UConn once. They didn't play them a second time.
So now you're back to having to go to a junky place like Connecticut. That's ridiculous. Yep. That's absolutely astonishingly not great scheduling. Guess what? In the next 27, they've got to go to Virginia. You're traveling again in a non-con.
28.
It doesn't matter. It's a non-conference game that you now have to give up. Non-conference games have traditionally been 3 games that you schedule that you can freaking win, especially for a program like Indiana that desperately needs 3 wins because they play in the Big Ten East.
This is also 5 years down the road.
Yes, it's scary.
Getting closer and closer to the Notre Dame schedule as well. I know that's really
we keep to the. I mean, it's 8 years away. Yeah, that's as far out as we go to 2028.
All they have is the home game with Virginia, and then I believe in 29, what do we have? They have a home game with Western Kentucky, and then 30 and 31 are both Notre Dame.
Yes. But so that's a little wonky. Big time programs are not doing that. Big time programs are not traveling
to UConn. I will say
to UConn.
Sure. I do
not
see
traveling to Western Kentucky. I don't care. They're not going to Western Kentucky. They're not going to those places. I don't think
they'll ever do that again, though. Like
I don't care
because they're not going to UMass. They are playing Western Kentucky again, but that's a home game that they have scheduled down the road.
Robert jumping on. Kelvin says UMass easy win. Really? I don't know. You would think. Kelvin says the away Cincinnati game is sold out. Not true. I'm not sure what not true is about, but of course it's sold out. Well, why do Cincinnati care? Why would Cincinnati care about Indiana coming in? Indiana's
it's not even about that. They probably have multiple games sold out just because they're on fire right now.
And it's Nippert Stadium, not the biggest around. So Kelvin says, "Don't promise Brom." Hey, yeah, I know what happened last time. You never know. Wyatt jumping on, Steve. Hey, Donald, Dwayne as well. We got lots more coming up. The great Bob Kravitz from The Athletic joins us next. Brought to you by our good friends at Southern Stone Restaurant right here in Bloomington. Tiring our roots in limestone with their love of Southern fare, created Southern Stone, all a part of the WOW Club. Make sure you go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store and sign up today. After this, we've got the great Bob Kravitz. Back with him right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting...
What an epic entrance with your seat to the back and a turnaround right there, Bob. That was
like that. That was like Chris Collinsworth slide-in.
Oh,
See the hat?
There you go, Avalanche, Stanley Cup
Avalanche,
champs.
baby.
Oh, that's right.
So are you an all Colorado pro sports fan?
No. I look.
You just spent time out there, so
I'm an Islanders fan first because I grew up on Long Island. We had season tickets, and then we lived in Denver for 10 years when the Avalanche came down from Quebec. So that's my second team.
There you go.
But they're my first team now because they won the cup.
That's how I was whenever the Cubs won the World Series. I was like, oh, Kyle Schwarber, I'm just going to jump on the Cubs bandwagon.
Yeah, well, that's a once in 100 years thing. So,
hey, I was glad I was able to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what did you think of the draft, Big Daddy?
We could talk about that. I think.
I've got your piece up. It's not the draft. It's all that went around it.
It was hysterical. They tried to kill them on their first day.
Kill them with love, baby. Kill them with love.
Try to kill them with the cocktail sauce, and then they went 160 miles an hour around the speedway.
The cocktail sauce. Oh my God! I bet they love that.
There's some funny faces.
Oh, did you get to see it?
Oh yeah, I was there.
Oh my gosh! I wish
I went along. I dragged along with them on their little adventure.
Yeah, see, that's one thing that stinks about being down here, missing out on all that stuff.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Got to know Matherin a little bit. I saw where he's already challenging LeBron. I think that's funny as hell.
For what?
Oh, did you see his quote? Apparently, it wasn't that day, but he's like, "Yeah, I want to play against LeBron and see what he's got."
Oh, well, yeah, okay, you 6'6" dude. He's got a lot at 6'8" and 30 years of experience and probably about 25, 30 pounds on it.
LeBron will put about 40 on his ass.
That'd be like one of those Larry Bird stories.
Yeah. I'm getting 43 on you. Okay, I got 43 in the third quarter. I'm taking myself out.
Here we go.
.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by RE/MAX Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back. It's Wednesday. We've made it halfway, and we've got the great Bob Kravitz from The Athletic with us. Robert, how are you?
I'm fabulous. You hear about the Avalanche winning the Stanley Cup?
I heard mention that the Stanley Cup was being played. Is it over? Is it done?
Oh, for the love of God.
Just kidding. Yeah, big celebration for because you spent some time out there in Denver, man. And
I did.
Were you there when the Avalanche arrived? Because
Yeah.
I know that the
1996. I was there from 90 to 2000. I was thrilled when they came down from Quebec, and I knew they had a really good team coming in. They had come close a couple of times in Quebec. They got to Colorado, and they were dominant, absolutely dominant.
They could have kept the name Colorado Nordiques.
That would not have worked real well, seeing as how that's French word for something.
I'm going with North or something. I don't know what.
I think Northern Canadians or something. Yeah. But yeah, the funny thing is that the Colorado Avalanche almost became the Rocky Mountain Extreme, and then word got out, and everybody went bananas and said, "Oh my God, that's the stupidest thing we've ever heard in our lives," including yours truly. And they decided to ditch that and go with Avalanche. But it almost became the Rocky Mountain Extreme or the Colorado Black Bears.
Well, they chose the appropriate name either way, as it was an avalanche, an avalanche of scoring in this Stanley Cup Finals. They put a lot of pucks in the net against the two-time defending Tampa Bay Lightning champions, and winning the Lord Stanley Cup 4-2. Now the traditional parade of the trophy. If you're not familiar with, that's the one great unique thing in hockey. Every member of the hockey team gets to take the Lord Stanley Cup trophy like home and take it someplace and like drink out of it or whatever they want to do with it.
Mostly drink beer out of it or champagne. It's a great thing. It's fairly recent that they let every player take it. You know, that you could take. It's gone to Sweden. It's gone to Russia. It's gone to Czechia. It's gone all over the place, and it's a really cool deal because you get to share it with the people who helped you get to that spot. So you're there with mothers and fathers and brothers and your youth coaches and things like that, and everybody gets to drink out of it and celebrate with it. It's a really cool deal.
Hey Bob, if you don't mind, you're coming through pretty choppy on mine. Would you drop out and come right back in?
Oh sure, no problem. I'll do that right now.
Thanks, Bob.
Oh, love to do that, but the Tampa Bay Lightning was heading for a three-peat, and they had won the last two, and also a team that had been, I guess, moved. I forget, where did Tampa's team come from? That's the one thing I can't remember.
Is that any better?
Sounds great.
Better. Okay,
it's so wild that the teams you look at Tampa. Tampa was a team that moved in. They were the two-time defending champion. Colorado having success. How about Las Vegas, as a freaking expansion team, having the success they did? That was absolutely insane in any sport. But hockey, man, it doesn't matter. It just seems like teams have a chance to rise to the top.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, first of all, it's great that these traditional hockey markets are doing so well. You look at the Florida Panthers this year had a great season. They got run in the playoffs, but you see a lot of non-traditional hockey markets doing really well. I wish we had a team here in Indy, but that's not going to happen. But yeah, it's great for the sport. I mean, Gretzky going to LA opened up that whole market. Tampa's been around for a while. They came on, I believe, as an expansion team many, many years ago. What Vegas did will never be duplicated in any sport. For a first-year franchise to go to the Stanley Cup Finals, it's mind-boggling to me.
But hockey is just like I said, it's a sport that every time I look up, it's somebody different, and I love that about not that I get to watch a lot of hockey. I don't.
No, you don't watch a lot of hockey. You're faking it right now. That's what you're doing.
I have been to plenty, and it was popular every time. Like when I was in Southern Indiana, when I was working at WOKY, and they had the minor league team. Man, It was popular. People loved it. They had a good time.
River Frogs is what you're referring to, right?
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
The River
Frogs. The River Frogs. The Pacers have got their guy. The NBA draft has come and gone. Guys, actually, you could say, but guy by means of everyone was wondering what they were going to do with that first single-digit pick they had since 1989. Benedict Mathurin was the name that was pulled, which was no surprise. There was a little drama right before it when Jaden Ivey dropped a spot, but no surprise here for the Pacers.
No, I thought it would be Mathurin. I thought there was a chance. There were some people in the organization who fell in love with Dyson Daniels, the kid from the G League, who's a tall guard. But, they already got a tall league guard. They've got Tyrese Halliburton. To me, this was not only the best player available at that spot, but he also fills quite a need for the Pacers as a wing. Clearly, they have a lot more they're going to do. I was a little, I didn't understand why they didn't make some more moves on draft day, but I'm told under no uncertain circumstances that Brogdon will get moved, and there's a chance that Turner gets moved here in the next couple of weeks.
And if you're those guys, I mean, it's just business as usual, really. It's not personal. Usually you don't have this much notice that you're going to be getting traded, but at least now you can start packing your things.
Well, I mean, poor Miles. Miles makes how many millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars, yeah.
But he is on the trade block every minute of every year. He's been on the trade block for the last 3 years, it seems like. Brogdon just makes sense. I mean, the guy is always hurt. He's 29 years old, so he doesn't really fit into the timetable that the Pacers have for growing this team with young players. And look, you want to get Nembhard and Mathurin and all these guys. You want to get them their touches. And at this point, I don't see how Malcolm Brogdon fits into this program. So I fully believe they're going to make a move with him. Now comes free agency, which gets everybody excited, but it's a really bad free agent market. Now, the one guy who's interesting, who I know the Pacers like, is Miles Bridges, the old player from Michigan State. But the Hornets have made it pretty clear that they're going to try and do everything they can to keep him. Now, whether that's just BS, I don't know. But he is a restricted free agent, and that's going to make it a very difficult get for the Pacers.
And I guess the biggest question is what's out there and available that the Pacers can get that's going to make them better than they are right now?
Not much. I think what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to go through the trade route. Look, even if this was a good free agency class, which it's not, the Pacers have a hard time getting guys to come here. I mean, it's just the way it is. You think back to the quote-unquote big-name free agents who have come here, the list begins and ends with David West. And David West was coming off a pretty serious knee injury and surgery the prior year. So they're not going to get the big-name free agents or even the middle-name free agents. I think they're going to have to move Turner if they hope to get what they want. I don't know how much you're going to get for Brogdon. He played 36 games last year. So, I think teams are leery of Malcolm Brogdon. He's a hell of a player and a really fine young guy. But, if he's playing 36 games a year, do you really want him?
And looking at what they were last year and not being negative towards Mathurin, but how much have they even gotten better at all?
Yeah, they've gotten better. They've gotten better. I mean, they've gotten deeper. Mathurin is going to start. He's going to play. He's going to make an impact, I believe. But this is still a team that's going to be in the lottery. Unless they make some amazing moves, specifically trades here in the next couple of weeks, I think this is a team, and they'll say the same thing. It's going to take 2 or 3 years to rebuild this thing, and good on them, because it's about damn time that they blew the whole thing up and said, "Let's go, let's start over." Look, we're not talking about the process here, with the Philadelphia 76ers or the OKC Thunder. They're going to try to do it a little quicker, but it's going to take time. It's going to take at least 2 drafts, possibly 3, because again, this is not a franchise that's able to get free agents to come here and change the direction of a franchise.
And we've talked about this so much, but they've worked so hard to always be at the worst competitive that it's bit them in the ass. It's backfired because they have been competitive at worst at most times, but that's kept them from going down to get back up. And where these other teams, they'll bottom out, but when they bottom out, they're able to get much better draft picks and come back, where Indiana has just stayed in that middle, just bouncing around.
You know who I blame? I blame Donnie Walsh for doing the job too well, because Donnie Walsh rebuilt. Let me get this off my screen. Donnie Walsh rebuilt this team on the run. After the 2000 champion, they got to the NBA Finals, and they were right back at it just a couple of years later, even after Smith's retired, Mark Jackson left, the whole bit. And then Larry Bird did much the same thing. After the brawl, it took a couple of years, but they rebuilt on the run. So Herb Simon thinks you can do that all the time, and you can't, and especially when you are a team, again, that can't get free agents. What I found interesting about, and I wrote about this in my story, I guess it was yesterday or the day before, is the Pacers really desperately want guys who want to be here. And so they rolled out the red carpet for the draftees. They took them to St. Elmo's, tried to kill them with the sauce, and then they took them out to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and tried to kill them again by going 160 miles an hour around the track.
Did they get to the double seater that you got to ride in?
No, this was not the Indy car. This was the pace car for the Indy 500. I think it's a Camaro or something. I don't know. It's a kind of car.
No, wow. They didn't even give him the double car treatment. Wow,
dude,
you got better.
What kind of insurance do you think? Hey, how crazy would the Pacers have to be to put those guys in a Indy car going 200 miles an hour or 180 or whatever they go? I mean,
they're doing 160 in a pace car.
Huh?
Yeah, they're doing 160 in a pace car. I'd rather be in an Indy car that's a little built for it a lot more.
Yeah, well,
a pace car.
As Benedict Mathurin said, I really need my 2 arms and my 2 legs.
Yeah, that was probably dumb. A pace car, Indy car. Yeah, I can see it, but not a pace car. That just brings bad thoughts come to mind. But yeah. Indy's a great place, and if you're getting paid and you see that the future's coming, maybe that will spur these guys to want to be here. I'm a little surprised that there's only so many places you can go, first of all, and you've got to have a lot of cachet behind you to be able to get to those places. I mean, LeBron can obviously call his shot and go wherever he wants to go. He's done it his career. If he wants to go to Miami, he goes to Miami. If he wants to go back to Cleveland, he goes back to Cleveland. LA, he goes to LA. But I don't know why. Once you get to the NBA, man, I would think that getting paid and playing at a competitive level is what you would want, and no matter where that is. But that hasn't quite been the case for.
No, it hasn't. I mean, you look at Paul George. Paul George wanted out. I think a lot of that was he had issues with Larry, and Kevin Pritchard, more Larry than Kevin. And then I'm telling you, Victor Oladipo, I had somebody in their organization tell me they have never seen a person change more when they became a star than Victor Oladipo. When Victor started out here, he was great. He was great. He was fun. He was accessible. And he surrounded himself with the wrong people. He's since changed agents and done some smarter things. But, you know, he turned down a ton of money to stay in Indy and ended up getting a veterans minimum in Miami. So he's made some bad moves. He changed a lot. But the Pacers want desperately for these guys to fall in love with Indy the way Reggie Miller fell in love with Indy. I mean, an LA guy, and he came here and he had chances to leave, and he never did. He just wanted to win for Indianapolis.
And Reggie Miller is the perfect example. He was the all-stars all-star, man. He was going up against Michael Jordan. The only reason that Indiana doesn't have an NBA title probably is because of Michael Jordan.
And Kobe and Shaq.
Well, yes, and Kobe and Shaq back then. But they can compete. It's possible to win an NBA title here. At least it was. So I don't understand the reluctance of not wanting to be in a place that embraces basketball as much as the state of Indiana and city of Indianapolis does.
It depends on if basketball is your highest priority. I mean, for some of these guys, it's about marketing, you know. And what I tell people is, hey, who's the most marketable former athlete on the planet right now? It's Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning spent almost his entire career here in little old Indianapolis. But you look at the kid. Look at Antetokounmpo. You know, Greek kid who is in Milwaukee, and he's doing really. I mean, you can be a superstar in any market because of the way things have changed, and I think. You know, Mathurin can come here and do and say all the right things and play well. He could own this town. I told his sister, we were just sitting around at the Speedway. I said, I'm telling you, he could own this town because we've gone through the Paul George fiasco. We've gone through the Oladipo fiasco. If he's a good player and he loves it here and he decides to stay over the long term, he could run this joint.
What's he like personally to be around?
I like him. I think he's funny. You know, although I'm not sure how smart it was to challenge LeBron James, like before you ever played your first NBA game.
Well, if you're going to do it, now's probably
kind of like a little cocky.
And now's probably the time. LeBron's on the way out. He's fading. So if you're going to do it, now's the time.
He led the league in scoring last year. He's on the way out. Come on.
Well, it's because he takes all the shots.
Oh, okay, that's it. Yeah,
he does get all the shots that he wants. But no, it's not. That is amazing that he's still leading the league in scoring. But part of that is, where do the Lakers finish?
Yeah, they were terrible. They were terrible. But no, I think he's a good kid. I like the Nembhard kid, real smart from Gonzaga. He's a 4-year guy. Which
that's another thing. We didn't talk about the ancillary picks that they picked up.
I honestly don't know much about Kendall Brown. I have I didn't see a ton of Baylor basketball, so I have to plead some ignorance there.
Played for a winner.
What's that?
Played for a winner.
He played for a winner, and the Pacers, they said this publicly. I don't know if I buy it or if it's just typical PR. They think they got 3 top 20 guys. And I'm like, well, you got Brown at 48, so he's not a top 20 guy. No, they think he's a top 20 guy. Okay, we'll find out if he can play. And God knows they need some size. They need some athleticism up front. So he certainly fits the bill.
What's up next for you, sir?
Well, I'm going to talk with our friend John Orovitz, who's a longtime motorsports writer. And we're going to talk about the split and how it parallels what's going on with golf. So I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but it's my idea, and damn it, I'm going to pursue it. So I'm going to do that. And yeah, I got a little bit of time coming, a little time off coming. So, you know, it's a slow time in Indianapolis right now. Let's be honest.
Well, that's good. That's good. We'll look forward to that. Look forward to seeing that next piece come out. Make sure you give him a follow at The Athletic and be a subscriber. I am. Robert, can't thank you enough, brother. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much.
Man. Be well.
Hey, up next here on Indiana Sports Beat, the great Kyle Neddenriep joins us. We'll get caught up on everything going on with Indiana high school sports. Baseball just wrapped up, and much more as the AAU season's about to finish up as well. Brought to you by our good friends at Remax Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, reach out to Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. You'll need her 2 decades of experience. Could be the difference in getting the home you want or not. Or if you're in Southern Indiana, Barbara Pop Realty Services. Matt Lincoln, Matt at BarbaraPop.com has you covered. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
The sun is out. Let's see. Hello, Kyle.
Hey.
That's some sunlight coming through.
Yeah, let me get that.
It is a sunny day. Sunny days make me feel fine.
What's coming from the other light?
Gone into the rivers of our life. Sunny days.
I think it's coming from the curtain to the other side, Kyle.
It is. Yeah. He can't hear you. Hey, Kyle. Hey, Kyle. Hey, Kyle. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
It's back here. It's this one curtain right over your left shoulder.
That's right next to your computer.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Boom. What's he got on there? Is that Georgetown? What's that say?
Yeah.
George, you a Georgetown guy?
I was when I was a kid.
They were good then. Oh, how have you been, brother? Slowing down finally?
No, not really.
No. I saw the baseball piece. I mean,
Kyle, do you usually take off here shortly the next few weeks?
Normally I do, but I'll get some downtime. I'm actually going to Ireland at the end of July, so.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to get a lot of stuff, like football stuff, done in these next few weeks. So we're sort of ready with our preview stuff.
Gonna hit up an Irish pub or two.
I would imagine. Hopefully.
I think that's the sole reason I would go to Ireland, just to see an Irish pub.
Oh, no. I would go there for all kinds of – I got to play golf there.
See, I'm not a golfer, though.
I'm not either.
It's what's where St. Andrews. Is that in Scotland, though? St. Andrews in Scotland.
We're going to Scotland, too, for a little while. It's our 20-year anniversary, so my wife and I and her sister and husband are going.
That is an interesting topic.
All right, here we go.
2021 Honda certified pre-owned Accords, Civics, CRVs, HRVs, and Pilots. See dealer for financing deals. Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back on this Wednesday to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by our good friends from Feast Market and Cellar. Located next door to Southern Stone on Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington, offering extensive wine selection with a sommelier because they take their pairing seriously. Kyle Neddenriep from Indy Star joins us. Kyle, how are you, sir?
Hey, good, Jim. How are you?
Great. Just looking over, I just saw a picture of Keith Smart must have been in town. He's got a picture of his him and his two kids in front of his statue at Assembly Hall. How cool is that, man? I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's one of the big time statues that's in there for one of the biggest results. And that's just a pretty cool thing to see. Busy time of year for you still, as I saw baseball. The baseball just ended, but then you've got the awards that have to go out. So you had all that went out. So you guys got all kinds of things that you're continuing to put out.
Yeah, wrapping up baseball. I was out at the Charlie Hughes basketball basically all weekend, so I got my fill of basketball. Saw a lot of good players. Flory Badunga versus Xavier Booker was kind of the I don't remember seeing a big man matchup quite like that one in Indiana with Indiana kids and probably the whole time I've been here. So I've been seeing a lot of basketball, moving on to football and keeping it rolling.
Yeah, that was a great weekend. We talked about that briefly yesterday, but that Badunga Xavier Booker matchup was big time. And Badunga, obviously, from what I was not up there, but I heard that he outplayed him. I mean, they had a great game and may have outplayed him. And the new rankings have come up. He's jumped up to, I think, number 6 in the rank in the Rivals rankings, a top 10 appearance from nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, it does. I think ESPN had him 60th in the when they put theirs out. No one else really had him anywhere, and he's only been here a year in the U.S., so I think people just haven't seen him enough. I would, and I saw that yesterday. He jumped up to 6th, and it's like, I know nobody probably outside of Indiana yet has really seen him very much, but. Doesn't make sense that he was nowhere to be found. And it's a product of, people not seeing him, but man, he's, I don't know how, projecting forward, like, it's sort of like, he's sort of more of that old school type big man, but also very athletic. He's sort of a, Xavier Booker is the NBA prospect, and I will say, I thought Flory probably got the better of that matchup, but also they're just two, drastically different type of players. Xavier's more of the face up skill. He can dribble, he can get a rebound and just dribble out, and he can face up and make threes and all those sorts of things. Flory's more of the, dunk everything you see. And I talked to Xavier actually about matching up with him, and he said, yeah, I haven't really played a guy like him really, and even in AAU, so he was very complimentary, after the fact of that matchup with Flory and of his game and everything. But yeah, two different type players. It was fun to see him go against each other, and I thought Badunga probably got the better of it for the most part. He had 27 points. I think he had 9 dunks in the game. And, had a little nice jump hook too that he's been working on. And I know he's down at the NBA top 100 in Orlando this week. So, he's definitely a player. I mean, he's going to get a lot more offers. I think everybody will offer him eventually. But his recruitment will be interesting. I'll say that. So I don't know, what he ends up doing, but very good player. He kind of caught the world by storm, even with Kokomo as they made their run in the tournament last year. But I still don't think a lot of people have probably seen him a lot. So, now he's getting his chance to prove what he can do.
Well, when you say his recruitment's going to be interesting, yeah, that's something that we've talked about because there's a lot of relationships that are involved early on. We'd heard about, but now that his profile is going to just explode, it would be more than unfair to him for someone to kind of keep him in a box where his opportunities are going to far exceed that box.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, the more eyes that get on him, the more things are going to happen, for him, and then in a good way. So, yeah, I think, there's no hiding him at this point. He's and there shouldn't be. He's he's clearly, and John Peckinpah, I think, has done a great job with him at Kokomo, the Kokomo coach, working with him and holding him to a high standard, I think. And, he's not, sometimes you see, coaches sort of, cater to kids and in order to keep them, and I think, Peckinpah, to me, I don't see him every game or anything, but watching him this weekend and watching him during the season, the times I did, holds him to a high standard, and I think Flory likes that. I think he responds well to it. And you can just see by how much, there were times this weekend where he was doing stuff I didn't know he could do. Now he can't, he's not going to go out and shoot 15-footer. That's not what they're asking him to do. He's probably going to have to, those are things he's going to have to work on, but he's making his free throws, he's blocks everything, and he's not afraid of contact. He plays well, through contact. So, I really think he's responding well to coaching and I think he's just, I don't know, NBA wise, I don't know, that's hard to know. College wise, he's going to fit in a lot of places.
And there's going to be a lot of places that want his services, like you've said, and it's going to be interesting to follow not only his recruitment, but now we've got a new challenge for Mr. Basketball next year. Challenger for Mr. Basketball. Is he a 24 kid?
24, yeah. So it'll be another year.
So when him and Xavier, what's Xavier, 23?
Yeah, Booker will be this year. So
okay,
yeah, they're different. Yeah.
I was looking forward to that class. That's going to be that class had kind of seemed like it was down a little bit, and it kind of is, but that could give him either the opportunity to really shine in a class that's not as big as normal in Indiana, or it could turn that class upside down with the race for Mr. Basketball.
Yeah, 24 is not, to be honest, it's not a super class at this point. It always kind of plays. 23 is 23. I really like that class a lot.
And 25 is also good.
Yeah, 25 I think has got a lot of promise. I saw some guys this week that really liking that class. 23 is just really deep and good players at the top. With Colvin and Booker and I really like Logan Imes and Marcus Burton, he's really outstanding guard. He's it'll be interesting to see if he's at Ball State's campus yesterday, but he's going to get, I think, some high major looks, if not offers. So that class to me, and there's a number of guys in that class. Like I was just going down this morning before talking to you, Kamari Jones from Lawrence Central. People probably don't know, that's just for example, but 6'4" shooter, it's just there's all kinds of players. It's very deep, I would say, and that makes that class a lot of fun. Just probably guys, some of them aren't maybe Indian all-star types, but just really, really deep class. So, but yeah, 24, to your point, not as deep at this point. Things can happen and play out, obviously, but yeah, Jack Benner from Brownstown, I love him. He's in that class, the 24 class. Purdue was all over him this weekend and then offered him. And I wouldn't be surprised if he jumped on that offer. I don't know that for a fact, but I think that could be a possibility for him. But I really like him. There's some others too that I think are going to get better. But Cannon Catchings from Brownsburg, the very baseline for him, I would say, is he's a guy who could go to Purdue and be a outstanding shooter. And the upside would be he becomes like an all-conference type. But I think there's a pretty high, what do you want to say, high floor for him. And even, the ceiling is just what you don't know for sure. And then Flory, I think if you see him in person, you kind of start figuring out okay, this guy is just a little different. And he's so long, he's long.
And he's got 2 more years.
Yeah. He's so inexperienced. So, that's the thing with him that you really have to like his development from that standpoint. And he's strong. He's just physically, if you look at pictures of him from the high school season to now, you just see how much more physically stronger he is. So all of those things make him a fun player, I think, to track. So yeah, I mean, just to your point, 23 to me, way deeper. You have 24 guys at a pretty high level, but maybe not the depth overall of that class.
Yeah, and looking forward to all of that. Quick question on the football side from Tom, because Center Grove, obviously one of the big-time programs here in Indiana. They'll be playing Louisville Trinity down, which is obviously probably the biggest program in that state year in, year out, generally. What's that going to be like, you think?
Yeah, Center Grove will be better than people probably expect. Now, defensive line, obviously they lost Caden Curry. They lost, James Schott, who was going to Michigan State. They lost Carl Biddings. All of those guys, D1 players, pretty big time, very big time, all going Big Ten. So, from that, defensive line, they could really dominate teams up front last year. And they lost Taven Jackson, their starting quarterback, who's going to Tennessee. So they lost a lot of star power, but talking to people down there this summer, they're kind of like, we're going to be better than people think. They're filling in some blanks with, hungry guys who are, talented, but maybe not as well known. And they do have some guys coming back who are very good, like Drew Wheat, who rushed for 1,000 yards last year. They always have a fast, stable of running backs, and they're always good in track, and Eric Moore, coaches track. So, they have speed to burn. So I will say, I don't know if they'll go undefeated like they have the last 2 years. I sort of expect that streak to be snapped at some point this year, and maybe Trinity's the team to do it. I know Trinity was very young last year, so they're sort of building back, and they're good regardless, young or old, but they were inexperienced last year. Carmel beat them during the season, but I think they're going to be, Center Grove is going to be right up there in that upper echelon again. Maybe just not the, maybe not the number one team right out of the gate, but I think they're going to be, I think they're going to sort of like their, place in the world this year of maybe being overlooked a little bit. And that's, to say the back-to-back champs are overlooked, probably not so much, but they're going to be a little bit under the radar because they lost so much talent.
And football's not that far away. It's so funny. We're still talking about basketball. We've got AAU that is still continuing into July, but football's not that far away, man. No,
and yeah, we've kind of been rolling out our week. I've been doing kind of a weekly look football. We've done like top games of week one, quarterbacks. This week we'll have a look at some of the better running backs in our central Indiana area. We did, there's one other one we did, but so yeah, anyway, we're starting to do our super team photo shoots. We had one last night. We're doing a little bit different theme. I won't give away just yet. We'll wait a little bit on that, but it's going to be a fun time of year to get a lot of this stuff in the can and then roll it out once, we get closer to August, but yeah, it's really not. I think 7 weeks from Friday is the first first week of games. So, it'll be coming up before we know it. And, that time of year in June, people kind of are able to get out and do some scrimmaging and practicing with each other. And then we'll hit it for real here before too long.
Yeah, it'll be right around the corner. But speaking of basketball finishing up, you've got the Battle of the Brands coming up, I believe. And then before we get to the grand poobah to finish the Under Armour finals up in Chicago, the Adidas Gauntlet in Atlanta, and the Peach Jam down in North Augusta, South Carolina. But you got the Prep Hoops, the Grit Region finals, which that's in mid-July. But the Battle of the Brands this weekend, man, that should be a fun event as well.
I actually heard that might not be happening, so
is that right?
Yeah, I need to check on that. But yeah,
I was looking forward to that, man. That was what I was looking forward to.
Yeah, don't quote me on that, but I heard from a parent that plays on one of the teams that might not be happening. So we'll see. But yeah, it's July anyway is a lot of AAU obviously, and chance for these kids, and I know a lot of them are frustrated by the recruiting process and the transfer portal, and So last chance for them and guys who are maybe on the fringe of, doing whatever, going high major, getting D1 offers, getting any offers, get a chance to kind of make a final impression. And, that's always great for them to get that opportunity. And Frank, I love the Charlie Hughes shootout now with the coaches being able to be there, and the coaches I talk to really like it, from any level, the D3s to the NAIAs to the D1s. They really seem to enjoy being able to see these high school teams play as with their high school team. So, that's I think a great thing that's part of our process here in the state. And we already had the Charlie Hughes tournament kind of set up already before this even happened. So it was an awesome thing to bring that in. And the only thing I know they can't do it anymore, but have the bracket play on Sunday. I miss that, but they just can't do it because there's, it's too many games or whatever. So that's the one thing you miss is like finding out who the best team is. But I think Ben Davis is probably, pretty clearly, they're just absolutely loaded. So they're definitely number one on my preseason list unless something changes.
Looking forward to that. You're heading off on a little vacay, man. One I'm jealous of, heading over across the pond to Ireland.
Yeah, I can't even think about that yet because it's still like a month away, and I have too much to do. So I don't.
Oh, is it that far? I didn't realize it was that far away, man. I was like, God, that's all. Ever since you've said that, I'm like, oh my God, that's all I can think about. I'm Irish, and so I'm like, that's one of those places where I definitely want to go. But yeah, I bet that's just going to be absolutely incredible. Ireland and Scotland. I don't know what the weather's like this time of year. I imagine it's not what it is here. It's cooler, I would imagine.
It is, yeah. I don't know. I think it's more like being in the Northeast or whatever, where it's it's sort of, I don't know, overcast or whatever. But I don't know. We'll see. I won't even care, because I'll be in vacation. So the weather is irrelevant to me.
You'll be in Ireland. Who cares? You're not even in the same country. Well, brother, I appreciate you. Look forward to next week. We'll get back to it before you head across the big pond. Hope you have a great week, rest of the week, and a great weekend.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you very much. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We've got lots more coming up, including Hall of Famer Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Plenty more to get to. Your comments as well. We'll get to those and back with more. Brought to you by our good friends from the WOW Network. Make sure you sign up. Apple App Store, Google Play Store. Go there and get signed up. It is free. Start earning dining dollars and more today. Like places at Feast Market and Cellar, Courtroom Sports Grill, Southern Stone, Cabello, BB's Marketplace, lots and lots of other places. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda.
All right, we'll be shorter here before Ricky B.
The Battle of the Brands get canceled?
I think I need to go back to drinking decaf because regular coffee, no matter how light I feel like, gets me wet. Like I have too much energy to be sitting in this chair right now.
Well, it doesn't affect me that way. the man, the myth, the legend.
Jim Coyle.
Rick Bozich. That's what I was thinking. There you go. More caffeine in light roast coffee than there's dark, so we've heard. So there you go.
One thing I've noticed too, at work or at iHeart, there's they have both options. And I've noticed the dark roast, I'm not a fan of. It just tastes too strong.
Well, but that may not actually be strong. It may be a fake out.
It might be. Who knows? Or maybe it's just the fact that I get store brand coffee. I don't get like the name brands usually. At least for home, at least, you know. Tebow says, take a lap. I played basketball last night, and I was, well, that's the only reason I said I'm commenting on that from Take a Lap is what it reminded me of, but I was wore the heck out. I had not played basketball in any capacity in several years, and it beat me up. 15 seconds, by the way, Jim.
TheHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is Wednesday. We've made it to the halfway point here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope your week is going well. Had Bob Kravitz on earlier. Just finished up the Neddenriep. Going to talk to Rick Bozich in a little while. Making sure that we hit up any of the comments that you got. Let's see. Yeah, hit up on that one. Talking about the coffee, we did not get to ask the football questions. I don't want to get too much into football with Cal yet because he's still focused on basketball. I shouldn't have asked. Big question on coffee. Which has more caffeine, light roast or dark roast? That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. Pete says he thinks there's more caffeine in light roast than dark. I don't know. Someone will have to research that. Five Left says he's heard that John, the producer's got handles like Kyrie. Oh, talking about off the air, you were talking about John, the producer said he played basketball last night for the first time in how long?
Man, I didn't, and it wasn't a competitive league. It was church league basketball, but I hadn't played any form of organized basketball in probably, man, it's probably been at least 5 or 6 years since I
remember the very last time I played full court basketball because I remember running and thinking, oh, this is the last time I will ever play full court basketball again.
That's how I felt last night.
I'm not kidding. I remember the moment. I remember the place. And I never played full court basketball again. And I'm like, what? And this wasn't yesterday either. But I remember I'm like going, that's it. This is crap. This is too much.
If you're not in shape for full court basketball and you're playing people that are, it's not fun.
No, it is not. It is not. And like I said, I remember that. And I remember saying and doing and putting up my last bale of hay. Those two things, I'm not kidding. They stick out in my mind. I remember saying, this is the last day I am ever hauling hay for the rest of my life. And buddy, it has been.
Would have loved to see me play. You wouldn't have seen much 5 lefts. I was 0 for 2 last night. One of my shots got blocked. I didn't turn the ball over, thankfully. But
Wait
I
a
didn't
minute.
have
0 for 2, and one of them got blocked? That's
Yeah.
pretty bad.
I don't shoot very much. I pass a lot.
You're a facilitator.
I'm a facilitator. I don't know how many assists I had. I just know I was 0 for 2 shooting the ball.
He's a point
Tebow
guard.
says I was playing with the over 60. They were definitely not 60-year-olds playing. I would say we were somewhere between early 20s to mid 40s, probably.
Yeah, definitely not full court, not 60s. That ain't happening, for certain. So there's that. Let's see. Oh yeah, a report from Indiana football. Indiana is expected to hire Cole Peterson, the director of football operations and player personnel at Youngstown State, as its assistant director of football operations, per report yesterday. I believe Mike Doig is the director of football ops. Peterson will also serve as an assistant to head coach Tom Allen. Just 1 year removed from his graduation at Youngstown State, Peterson served as one of the youngest staffers at his position across all Division I during his time at his alma mater. As an undergrad student, this is from a story from Mason Williams at thehoosier.com, by the way. You go to indiana.rivals.com and you can find that. But this just coming out. I'm going to guess that this is going to have to do with, NIL, number one. Despite recent struggles, Youngstown State is one of the more successful programs at the FCS level all time, and Peterson himself comes from a football family. His father, John Peterson, also left Youngstown State this past offseason to become the football director of NIL at Cincinnati on Luke Fickell's staff, all of which came up under the Bo Pelini coaching tree. So there's that. Yeah, I'm wondering what this position is more. I don't think it's more towards NIL. If it might be more towards, daggone it, transfer portal. Because we had talked to Tom about the potential of them hiring someone, specifically an assistant for the transfer portal. And I wouldn't be surprised at all that is exactly what this is about. But Cole Peterson, newest staffer for Indiana football. And so, we'll get more about that, find out more about that. But I'd be pretty positive that that's along the lines, especially with his age. He's a younger guy. As you just heard, one of the youngest at his position. So Peterson also cited the trust and support he received from current Youngstown head coach Doug Phillips, the president. Do you know Jim Tressel is the president of Youngstown State? I did not know that. And Youngstown's head coach is Bo Pelini. Wow. Man, they've got a lineup. We got to take a quick break. Coming up next, the Hall of Famer Rick Bozich joins us from WDRB.com. We'll be back with that and much more, brought to you by our good friends at Reynolds Family Dentistry. If you're down in the Sellersburg area, you need that championship smile, go see Dr. J at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Back with Rick Bozich right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington.
Hello, man. I was telling somebody the other night, I was watching just caught a White Sox game, and I saw Johnny Cueto up on the mound, and I'm like, damn it, there's another one.
Yeah, he pitched last night and got the win, I think.
Oh man, he's still rolling.
Well, he was out. He was a free agent. The Giants cut him loose after last year, and nobody signed him. And then the White Sox had some injuries in spring training, and they signed him, and he's been one of their better pitchers.
Spots, yeah. Oh, they're still just muddling in the middle, though, aren't they?
Yeah. They're not going anywhere. 6 games out. What's new in Bloomington?
Nothing other than that new football position hire that just came about.
Well, I didn't see
And
that.
the lovely
What was that?
UMass scheduling.
Well, there's that, but this is a bigger deal. They just hired a guy from Youngstown State to be assistant director of football operations, which I'm assuming this is going to have more to do with transfer portal recruitment, but that's a guess. But because I know that Tom has talked about hiring someone along those lines. This kid's young. His dad left Youngstown State to become the NIL director for Luke Fickell last year or this offseason.
When did Indiana announce that? I missed that one.
That just there's a story that just on the Hoosier.com. It came out a half an hour ago.
Okay.
I don't know where he got this from.
Who wrote it?
Mason Williams. Let's see if I don't have let's see if I have an email. Because it says report, so I don't know where this came from. Where did he get this from? Where's this being attributed to? Well, Cole Peterson's put out a tweet, so he's officially left Youngstown, so that part's official.
Cole Peterson is his name?
Yeah, Cole Peterson, SON.
Okay.
It's actually at Cole1 Peterson is his Twitter.
Okay, all right, here we go.
Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. Hope you're having a great day and making it through because we've got you halfway through the week already. Hall of Famer Rick Bozich from WDRB.com joins me now. Rick, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Enjoying the cooler weather.
Oh, man, it has been sweet. It has been sweet. I've been lamenting my Reds a lot for no reason other than there's nothing else to do. But in the break, I said the other day, I was noticing Johnny Cueto was pitching for the daggone White Sox, man. I'm like going, there's another one that drives me nuts. I loved him. He did great for the Reds, and he's just another in a long line of good players that they have shipped away.
He's fun to watch because he's sort of like, I'm dating myself here, he's kind of like the modern version of Louis Tiant, where he gives you all these different motions and twists and turns and hesitations, and he gets by on deception instead of velocity anymore. And secondly, when he pitches, he pitches like he's running out to put money in the parking meter, man. He doesn't hold the ball, man. He kept the game moving. I like that.
That's very unusual in this day and age, too. Craziness. I just mentioned in the last segment as well, Indiana with a new announcement. Well, they haven't made an announcement. I shouldn't say that, but a report on the Hoosier.com at Indiana Rivals that Cole Peterson is expected to be named the assistant director of football operations in Indiana. He comes from Youngstown State as the director of football operations and player personnel there, but he'd only been in that position 1 year because he's only 1 year from graduating. But man, Youngstown State, which I know it's Tressel had been there before, but now he's the president. I didn't realize that. And Bo Pelini is the football coach. Man, they've got a kind of a line right there at Youngstown State.
I mean, you look across the entire state of Ohio. I mean, in addition to Ohio State and all the greatness they've had, but I mean, Fickles turned Cincinnati into a power. We remember when Urban Meyer was running things at Bowling Green. Youngstown State's successful. Toledo's had a good run. Joe Burrow had his connections at Ohio University with his dad coaching there. Ohio is just everything about Ohio screams football. And, it's probably a good hire to get somebody from Youngstown State because they take football seriously there.
Well, obviously his dad is in the business. His dad left in the offseason to become the director of NIL on Cincinnati's or Luke Fickell's Cincinnati staff. So football's in the family, coaching's in the family. Obviously getting someone young like that is, I'm guessing that this is going to be somewhere involving the transfer portal, because we had talked to Tom about that possibility and he had mentioned that they would like to do something like that. But this isn't coming from Indiana anyway. So what he'll be doing will probably be announced later, but I'm guessing that that's kind of what that's going to be about.
Yeah. Probably some kind of recruiting, lining up visits, social media stuff. There's so much involved in that. I mean, looking down my way, Louisville's got a top 15, some say top 10 recruiting class coming for next year. And the reason is they really invested a lot of money and personnel in their, recruiting department. They've got 2 or 3 guys who work on it full time, and they've done a really good job on social media of once they get guys to kind of get them all connected. And, when you're a school that's got to find ways to, compete against the big dogs who just beat you with their tradition and their success and their resources, you got to have your own niche. And I'm not sure what Indiana's niche is right now. It was, I guess, LEO there, but that's kind of stalled now.
And I wonder what programs like Indiana and Louisville, who are, I still call middling D1, upper D1 programs, they're there, but are they, if they get these recruits and they work hard to get these recruits, that's just half the battle. Now it's going to be keeping these recruits from somebody coming in and poaching them with a little NIL deal and the transfer portal.
Yeah, it's just the way the game's played. I mean, even the big schools lose big recruits. You look at guys who've come in, and the kid went to Ohio State last year. The quarterback from Texas stayed 1 year. Now he's at Texas. And Notre Dame has lost guys to other schools. I mean, that's just, you got to get what you can get every year and do your best to keep them happy and give them opportunity and then move on. Look at Indiana's gotten a lot of players from other Power 5 programs who they're really counting on this year. That's what I looked at, I think it's on Peegs this week. They're doing the countdown of the top 30 most important players on the football team. And like most of the ones I've read so far are transfers from other schools. Jared Casey, the kid from Ballard who played at UK, Emery Simmons, I think the wide receiver who came from North Carolina, and 8 or 10 of those guys are critical to any success Indiana's going to have in football this year.
Well, and it starts at the top, because I think that the quarterback is going to end up being Connor Bozich from Missouri, another transfer who just went to the Manning Academy, and so it's going to start at the top. And then you got receivers that were there from last year. DJ Matthews from Florida State or whatever. I think Indiana is going to be a program that is built on that, not built on their recruiting as their early recruiting. It's going to be the later recruiting.
Yeah. And you got to have guys who are in the office who are keeping track of these guys, of who might be somebody who's going to pop into the transfer portal, and got to pounce on them when they become available. And they have done a good job with 2 or 3 guys who are players. I think that they've recruited when they were in high school. They lost the recruiting battle. They went somewhere else. It didn't work out well for them, at their initial choice. And Indiana's been willing to look past the disappointment of not signing him out of high school and taking him on as a transfer.
And something I've noticed lately, though, that it's no secret and it's nothing that's different, but I think within the last 2 weeks, I've seen 3 offensive linemen from the state of Indiana commit, 2 to Iowa, 1 to somebody else. But the point is, that's exactly to Louisville, of all places, Louisville. Not of all places, but I mean, when you're trying to fight for in-state, and you're losing
these guys, especially at the position where you're hurting the most probably on your program right now. You're losing in-state guys. That should tell you a couple of things. Obviously, that's an area where you're not doing well in state, but obviously, but secondly, what's the reason? Why are you not? Because you can still land guys at other positions from within the state that are higher up, higher rated, but not at offensive linemen, and it's killing Indiana because it stops on the offensive line, man.
I agree. I mean, it's been an ongoing problem. I think there are 3 former Indiana high school players on the offensive line, top 10, top 12 at Ohio State. The kid from Indianapolis, Juwan Jones, is the guy that was a basketball player too. There's the kid, I think was Fry was his name, from Indianapolis, who's a backup. And then you had the kid from Floyd Central, who initially committed to Louisville, and he's a backup at Ohio State. So that's 3 guys from the state of Indiana who've gone to Ohio State. Louisville got this one. Iowa's gotten several. I mean, Purdue obviously gets its share. I mean, Indiana they've got Sales, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, Fiacable. They've got some guys from in-state, but the top of the line, they're not getting them. And I'm sure part of it is lack of success, but considering all the discussion that went on last year among people who really follow IU football closely about the dissatisfaction with the offensive line and the offensive line coach, I think that's something that that's the number one place to look at IU going forward this year. Is the offensive line going to be able to at least be functional? Because last year it wasn't. That they couldn't run the ball at all. They couldn't pass protect, and quarterbacks, different people got hurt, and the offense was just abysmal. And unless the offensive line improves, I really don't see it getting that much better this year.
Sorry. I agree. And not only that, but Tom Allen is kind of banking. I don't want to say he's banking his career on that, but that's a big piece of what's coming up next, because if success does not come, and especially if it's at the offensive line, and we're a hole, that's going to be a gigantic point of discussion, which is not that it hasn't already been, but it's going to become a huge point of discussion at this point of his career at IU.
Yeah. I mean, the number one person I think who got the heat last year was Nick Sheridan, and he was relieved of his duties. But I think the person who was next on the list that IU fans were unhappy with was Darren Hiller. And he didn't make a change there. Other changes were made on the staff. Obviously, new defensive coordinator, a couple other spots I think turned over. The running backs coach left, and that's been sort of created some questions around IU about what was his role last year and some of the other running backs leaving. And then they lost that commitment from the kid from Cincinnati who went to Notre Dame, and they lost, Dylan McCullough's son, who's going to be a high school senior. He decommitted and he's going to Cincinnati instead. The kid who was at Bloomington South and now is playing high school ball in South Bend. It's all eyes on that offensive line, starting with game 1 against Illinois, because it'll be a great contrast. We know from watching Brett Bielema at Wisconsin that as he tries to bring Illinois back, his number one priority is going to be building a mammoth, powerful offensive line, because that's how he won at Wisconsin. So how Indiana holds up against Illinois' offensive line and how well they block Illinois' defense, right off the bat, we're going to be talking about that week and after that game.
Absolutely. Basketball kind of slowing down. There was a Battle of the Brands scheduled for this weekend. I think that's being snuffed out from what I heard and I've been checking on. I'm not sure that's going forward. So that kind of leaves us a little blank in between all the big finishes with the down in South Carolina and Atlanta with the Adidas Gauntlet and the Peach Jam and all that stuff coming up. Which is just the end of the season, because we just saw the Rivals rankings come out. Flory Badunga, who is a kid that you're probably not greatly familiar with from Kokomo, but yeah, man, he jumped up to number 6 in the rankings from virtually nowhere. But we talked about his recruiting it's allegedly been tied to somebody, but he is going to be such a kid that gets offers from, I think he's going to end up getting offers from Duke, Kentucky, from Kansas, those types. He's going to be that kind of, he's got 2 more years of high school left.
He's the kid at Kokomo, right?
Yeah.
Big guy. He played head to head, I think, with Xavier Booker over the weekend.
And allegedly outplayed him.
Really?
Yeah, that has been the definitive word that he outplayed him.
Yeah.
They're different players, but Dunga is an interior player pretty much wholeheartedly, where Booker steps out a lot.
Right. I've read some of the message board stuff about the kid from Kokomo and, the recruitment and how, it's tied to one guy who's an assistant coach somewhere else, and he's going to go wherever that guy is. I don't follow it. I'm not in the trenches enough to know if that's really true. It wouldn't be if it is true, it wouldn't be the first time that's happened, but July is prime time in recruiting. A lot of the top high school prospects in the country right now are in Orlando at the NBA Players Association Top 100 camp. And then there's not this weekend, but the next weekend, there's the Nike EYBL stop in Kansas City. And then 2 weeks after that is the Peach Jam. And we're going to start getting a lot more clarity on, which players schools really are in on, they do have a chance to get, and who they're prioritizing, and, who they can get to make visits. And, usually commitments start popping after the Peach Jam, or certainly after guys go to Vegas, because there's a tournament in Vegas after the Peach Jam.
And then your piece is not Indiana related, your most recent piece, but I want to shout at Kenny Klein was the SID at Louisville for, I don't know, it seems like since the 50s, but I laugh because, he was there when I was a kid. I call myself a kid when I was coming up through WLKY. He was there. He was already there. He's been the guy. Louisville has been very fortunate, University of Louisville, to have him as an SID media relations director he did everything too. He did basketball, football. He maintained control of everything, which is very unusual in this day and age, but did it in a way that, man, you knew who the guy was every year. But he's retiring, and it's kind of sucks to see him guy like that go, because, man, he had it running smoothly.
Yeah, he's old school. Nowadays, SIDs jump around to different positions and stuff. And as you mentioned, he came to Louisville in 1983, was there for sort of the glory days of the Crum years when they were going to Final Fours all the time. He handled the transition of Denny Benton getting pushed out and Pitino coming in. He handled the transition to Tom Jurich. He was the crisis manager for Rick Pitino during all his stuff that was going on, and Pitino recognized that by giving him a brand new Lexus. I don't know if you know that story, but
I did not.
Oh yeah, after the Karen Cipher stuff,
Kenny
was the guy who helped Rick Pitino PR wise dealing through that stuff. And
I knew that, but
Rick Pitino thought that Kenny put so many hours in his own time that he gave him a really nice. He still has the car. It's like 10 years old. It's a really nice Lexus. Might be a convertible. I'm not sure. It's red. So, Kenny was the kind of guy who could have been the athletic director at Louisville. That's how much he knew. Every time there was a transition to a new coach or a new AD, nobody messed with Kenny because they knew how valuable he was. A lot of times when a new person comes in, they want a new SID, or AD wants a new head spokesman. Nobody messed with Kenny because he had great relationships, not only with local media, but with national media and the NCAA. He's been the guy who's run the press row, the stats stuff at the Final Four for 36 years. And also he had great relationships, with TV people, network people. And he was always, even if stuff might be churning below the surface, he was always cool and calm. And there could be, the student paper from Boston College could come into Louisville and cover a game, and he treated them with the same amount of respect as he did, Dick Vitale or Dan Schulman. And I don't know how many games you were at, but one of his signature moves is after things calmed down and people were writing, he would make a tour around the press box or press room to see if anybody would like a nice cold post-game beverage.
He was great. And not only that, he's just always there, like I said, and it was just 36 years for his crew to be doing the stats shows the faith. It shows the competency in what they do, and that the NCAA knows, you know what, this is one area, if they all the problems they have, that's one area they don't have to worry about having a problem, because it's done, and it's done right year in and year out. I wonder if he'll continue with that.
I think he is. I think he is going to. Great chance to go to the Final Four every year, and
Yes.
He's going to be around part-time this coming year because Kenny Payne told him he needed him in his first year as the head coach. So he's not going to be the basketball SID, but he's going to be help out Kenny Payne. So, that's the kind of guy he is. He's going to not go into full-fledged retirement the first year because of his relationship with Kenny Payne that goes back to 1985 when he came to U of L as a freshman.
Next question is, who becomes the SID for Louisville? And then is it one person, or are they going to split that off in basketball and football like most schools?
Well, I mean, Rocco Gasparo has been the football SID for a long time, I think over 20 years. What I think they will split up is, Kenny ran the department, was the basketball SID. I think we'll have somebody in the current administration running the department and a new basketball SID. And good luck to that person, because it's like following John Wooden.
You got that right. Also in your piece, you mentioned a longtime beat writer for Kentucky. And I bring that up because he worked for the Lexington Herald-Leader for, how long was he there? 30 plus years probably?
No, he's over 40, I think. I think Jerry started covering UK maybe like 81 or 82.
You would think, and of all places, in Lexington at the Lexington Herald-Leader, that a beat writer for the Kentucky Wildcats would be a bully pulpit or a PR piece for whatever Kentucky coach was in there at the time, and that was not the case with Jerry Tipton, was it? He was not that guy.
Jerry enjoyed asking the questions that might make people uncomfortable. He never shied away from getting dirty looks in the room or gasps at times when he asked the questions. He knew that there were people that weren't happy with some of the stuff he wrote. I mean, he's the guy who, when Rick Pitino was in at UK for his interview, approached him either when he was going into dinner or coming out of dinner to ask him about NCAA violations that had happened at the University of Hawaii when Pitino was an assistant coach there. So he didn't care. And, especially in today, back then that was one thing, but in today's media environment where there's so many fan blogs and people that have, a social media account and get credentials and cover the team. And in Lexington, especially, I've covered Kentucky NCAA tournament games, and a number of the people that cover the team on TV, they'll wear UK colors, dresses or ties or whatever at the game. And some of the TV stations even wear like buttons on their jacket or dress saying "Go Big Blue" or "Go all the way" or something like that. And like Tipton survived in an environment like that,
which is beyond tough to do. And especially in, like I said, he would be in the press room and he would ask, I don't care. Calipari is the most recent example, obviously. I mean, how many times did he piss him off? I mean, what is your favorite, if you could come up with some favorite Jerry Tipton moments, questions, no matter who the coach was, the time was, what would that be? The most shocked that you were, maybe? And you've seen a lot.
My favorite Jerry Tipton stories are all pretty similar. Of going to a game, and you go in the post game at Rupp, and the visiting coach usually went in first. And more times than not, the the head coach of the opposing team would recognize Jerry, say, "Hello, Jerry," in the crowd, and say, Jerry gets to ask the first question. And then when he was done talking, instead of going back to the locker room, he'd go stand outside the locker room and talk to Jerry for like 10 or 15 minutes more. Because all those guys came in the SEC from football towns, and when they saw a reporter that really put basketball first, they were overjoyed. I mean, it happened time and time and time again. And when I saw it, was probably 4 or 5 years ago. Avery Johnson wasn't even at Alabama that long, and he was an NBA guy. And I figured he wouldn't know who Jerry Tipton is. I mean, Nolan Richardson knew who he was, or Billy Donovan certainly knew who he was, but Avery Johnson did it. It was like, wow, that's respect.
Guys like yourself, Bob Kravitz, Jerry Tipton, Pat Forty, going away. It's. I mean, I don't want to call you old school, but there's no other way to put it, because to me, it's an honor to be old school, because that's the way I think it should be. Society has moved away. I don't know that journalism will be the same as we continue to go forward, because you just mentioned the thing that there's too many people that are not what I'd call true media are allowed in now. When you're wearing colors, I mean, I graduated from IU and I cover IU mainly, but you do not see me wearing IU stuff. As a matter of fact, I went to great lengths to make sure that I don't even hardly own anything that has IU on it. Right. And it's just because of that. It's like, but it's also, it's a fine line. It's a balance. You want to entertain the people who are following what you're doing or talking about, yet you want to not be hypocritical, you want to be a journalist, a reporter, and that's a fine line for certain entities. But then there are the guys like yourself who your job is to be the media, to be the ones that call it out, and unfortunately, I think that they're slowly going away.
Yeah, it gets harder and harder because there's so many people. They read. I'm overemphasizing it here some ways, or overgeneralizing it. A lot of people just want to read stuff that reinforces what they already think.
Yeah, pat on the back. They want their own pats on the back.
And if you don't do that, they get mad and lash out at you. And I don't know. I'm a sports fan. I like to read sometimes people that are critical. I don't like to read it all the time. I like to read sometimes when there's praise, when praise is deserved. But I mainly want information. And so, it's such a changing media landscape I think back when I came to the Louisville newspapers in the late 70s, and there were guys like Dick Fenlon and Billy Reed and George Rohr and Jim Bolus and Paul Borden and Russ Brown and all these dudes who came to Louisville and stayed in Louisville and had so much institutional knowledge. And I look at the paper now, I mean, there's one guy who's been around for a long time. That's Jason Frakes. Tim Sullivan's now been there for 10 years. But in terms of the beat writers and stuff, they come, they stay for a couple of years and they leave. And part of it is just that our society has changed, but part of it is the media landscape has changed, that, the newspaper industry is tough, and they're always trying to make people do more with less, and it can be frustrating to work there after a while.
Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned some people that I was fortunate enough to grow up reading, yourself and Pat Forty and Billy Reed, who was one of those guys, was old school as well. Of course, everybody has their guy, or the town has their people, but to be able to stay in that business and do that, to do what you did, to do what you do, to do what Bob Kravitz does, it's amazing to me, because you guys are able to do it, to point out either the fallacies, the falsehoods, but also the positives, to flesh out the story. That's the thing, is to flesh out the story. And I don't think people understand the difficulties of fleshing out a story, because when I say flesh out a story, I'm not talking about the obvious. I'm talking about the back stuff, the stuff that's underneath. That is the real story. And that's what the joy of reading people like you and Bob and Pat and whomever else it is. But I love it. I've been a newspaper kid since I was a freshman in high school. I started reading the paper. I'm grateful for that. And I still wish I got to hold that paper in my hand today. I miss that. I miss going through my sections, how I want to go through my sections, sports first, then the front page, then the metro or the whatever area that I'm living in. That's how it's done. And I still do that when I get a chance to go to a certain place for lunch. They get the paper every day, and I'm like, boom! That's the first thing I do is grab it and pop it open. And but it's a lifestyle that I think a lot of people miss.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you. I mean, I grew up delivering newspapers. I was a newspaper carrier for the Gary Post Tribune for 3.5 years. Read that paper, and my dad used to work in the steel mill. And he, fortunately for me, he liked to read and he liked newspapers. And when he came home from work, he would bring home, like, Chicago had, when I first was a kid, Chicago had 4 daily newspapers, 4. And he'd bring 1 or 2 of them home. And so I just couldn't get enough of all that stuff. And that's really where I did most of my reading as a kid, reading sports sections of the Chicago Tribune, Chicago Sun-Times, Chicago Daily News, Chicago American, Chicago Today. And, you know, I remember even the first thing I ever had published once, Chicago Today had this columnist who had like trivia questions in his column. And if you answered the questions correctly, you could win free tickets to the Bulls. The Bulls were an expansion team in the late 60s, and they weren't selling out, so they were giving away tickets. And I remember I knew the answer to this trivia question, and I wrote this dude, and he published my answer in his column, and I won free Bulls tickets, and I was on my way.
And that's so funny because what got me reading the paper each week was a freshman class, a current events class, I think. And every Friday we had a quiz on, and it came pretty much out of the paper. I'm like, I'm winning this thing, buddy. I'm going to win it every week. And I did. I think I aggravated the teacher because I would, but I was the only student that read the damn newspaper. And of course I had a radio class and all this, but I'm reading the paper all the time. But I'm like, I'm loving it. Every question, I'm like, yep, I got it. And, but it really fired me for reading the paper, not for reading books and all that. I just love that gaining of knowledge and information. And I wish we still got it that way. Of course, we can get it quicker in a lot of other ways now, but
yeah, we can.
I love the old school stuff. I mean, Rick grew up in the region. That's why he wears the White Sox hat, but he doesn't cover the White Sox, so he gets to wear that all he wants. Have you been able to go to a game yet, by the way?
I went to 2 playoff games last year. I was going to go
this season. I didn't know if you did.
They're playing so poorly this year that I've had a hard time motivating. I'll probably go up for. I used to work at Inland Steel too. I worked there 3 summers, 2 summers in the number 2 Bloomer and 1 summer in the number 3 Open Hearth. So yeah, I worked in Inland Steel in Indiana Harbor. But yeah, I'll probably pick what I usually do is I go up, like, you know, it'll be like a Tuesday night game and then spend the night and then go to a Wednesday day game. Go like 2 for 1 and then drive home after the day game on the second day. So,
well, let me know if you're heading up that way. I've seen. I was fortunate when I worked for CBS Sports when I was younger, and I remember when they were tearing down the old Comiskey Park. They had the new one built. When was that? 90. They had the new one completed. I saw Michael Jordan take batting practice in the old Comiskey Park, and so that must have been the season before. And then I was working for CBS, doing their first broadcast. They were playing the Tigers, Kyle Neddenriep's team. Cecil Fielder was there. I remember that. Cecil Fielder was down on the field when he was taking batting practice. That was
Jack Morris might have pitched the first game in New Comiskey, I think.
Oh, wow. I was there for that. I had dinner out in right field. They have a place out in right field where they have a restaurant or whatever. CBS out there. But very cool. And I had a brick from the old Comiskey Park forever that I freaking finally let go. But I love that. I mean, those old places are just, I wish that old Comiskey was still there. I know why they tore it down, but it's great to see Wrigley still around and see the others still around. But I love those just old school teams. The White Sox, I was a National League kid. Sure. The American League was almost like another solar system when I was growing up for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, no interleague play back then, for one thing. There was a lot more mystery about it. There was, you know, I think a lot of the interleague stuff, I think, has lost its juice. I don't think there's certain series that draw people's attention, but, you know, there's an interleague game one every night, and I can't tell you what the interleague game was last night. It might have been the Tigers and the Giants. Who cares?
Yeah, I do like that they do that. I think that they should maybe limit it to better ones. But what's up next for you?
Yeah, it's quiet time. I got one story that I'm working on. I can't talk about, but you'll know about it next week, which I think will be a really good one for basketball fans in this area. Probably getting ready for recruiting to crank up. I think we're getting some access out at Louisville football, so we'll be talking about that. Waiting for my Phil Steele college football yearbook to arrive, which is always a sign that the football season's getting closer, and just getting ready for, this is the quietest time of year really in the sports media business, where you don't really have college stuff going on. I think a lot of the administrators take vacation this time of year, so we'll be scrambling for stories. If you got any ideas, send them my way.
Well, one good thing that we did not talk about that came out was the ACC Big Ten Challenge. As a lot of people had suspected, Indiana and North Carolina are going to get together as they are jacking it up for a big-time ratings game. Louisville and Maryland are going to play. That should be exciting for them. But North Carolina and Indiana, that's going to be a premier game. Indiana's schedule, and also the Gavitt games with Xavier and Sean Miller. So you still get the Sean Miller game, although the Arizona game was meant to be with him. You still get that and all of that as well. So Indiana's schedule has just skyrocketed, their pre-conference schedule.
Yeah, they better be ready to play, because only one of those games is in Bloomington. That's the toughest one of them all. Carolina playing at Kansas. I'm not sure about Xavier's personnel. I know they lost Scruggs and maybe a couple of other guys, but we know Sean Miller's a good coach, and the Cintas Center is a tough place to play. And because of what happened to Archie, I'm sure Sean will be very eager to take the Hoosiers down. And then playing Arizona in Las Vegas, those are 4 games that will have a big, if Indiana does really well in them, it'll be a big plus for their NCAA tournament seeding possibilities. And if they struggle, it won't help them. So they're scheduling as if they expect to be really good this year.
Well, yeah, they definitely need to be competitive. I don't know that they have to win 2 out of those 4 because it's early. I think it depends on how well they play, and it depends on which games. Are you going to be expected to go to Kansas and beat Kansas at the Fog? No, they're the defending national champion. Are you going to be expected to beat North Carolina? Probably, even though it's a tough game, a tough ask. Yeah, you're going to be, because that's the best opportunity, like you said, they're going to have. So they're going to be expected to win that game. And then the Arizona game, I don't know, is that a toss-up? And then will they be favored at Xavier? We'll have to wait till that game rolls around, but they might not be. I don't know what Xavier has, like you said.
Yeah, is Nunchi back? I don't know. Jerome Hunter's back, I know, but that Scruggs,
former IU player, Jerome Hunter, ironically.
Scruggs, I know, is gone. I'm sure he was a 5-year guy, because Crean tried to recruit him. He was in that class with Jaron Jackson, Chris Wilkes, Malik Williams, and Paul Scruggs, and Indiana didn't get any of them. People lost their minds.
Yeah, Kyle Guy. Was that Kyle Guy time?
Kyle Guy might have been a year ahead of those guys.
But yeah, that's a whole bunch of people that you just mentioned. Why Tom Crean is out of a job right now today. To be honest with you, but cannot thank you enough, brother. It's been a great one as always. I hope you enjoy just a light weekend. Hope you don't do anything other than walk the dog.
Walk the dog and watch the Sox play out in San Francisco. We'll see how they do out there.
They're playing the Giants. Well, the Giants aren't that good this year, are they?
Yeah, they're not bad. They're like in third. They got a winning record, so we'll see.
Yeah, well, they do have. They're only 5 games back, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, no, it'll be hard.
That's the toughest. I don't know. I was going to say the NL East also with the Braves now just 4 games back of the Mets. Just had Kevin Brockway, big time Mets fan. They've given up that 11-game lead that they have.
Yeah, but they got Scherzer and DeGrom coming back, so if they can hold on till they get their 2 best pitchers back, they'll be okay.
The Astros have no problems. They could almost take the rest of the summer off with a 10-game lead. Actually, the Yankees with a 12.5-game lead. There's nobody close to them, and that's not because
the Yankees are on pace to win like 122 games or something. It's ridiculous.
55-20 right now. 60.
Yep.
What's their? Oh, they're not showing their win percentage, but
it's over 70%.
That's nuts. I mean, what in baseball, 60% is pretty damn good these days, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's better than the Big Red Machine.
Wow. Brother, I appreciate you. Have a great rest of your week. The great Rick Bozich. Make sure you give him a follow at
Happy 4th of July.
WBRB.com. Happy 4th of July to you, sir. Happy good weekend. That's right. 4th of July weekend coming up, man. I cannot wait for that. Hope you guys have had a great day. Man, it was a fun one. Bob Kravitz is always great. Kyle Neddenriep. And that was really fun with Rick. Caleb says that Xavier has a great freshman named Cam Croft. So yeah, well, we'll start looking into
Cam Kraft.
What did I say? Croft? Yeah, my bad. Kraft. Well, that's something we'll start doing. Looking into these 4 big time non-conference opponents that Indiana's got coming up. And I'm going to examine those over the next couple of weeks. We'll get some guys on to do that. I'll have to research that myself, and obviously not much research needed for North Carolina. You know what they've got coming in. But big thanks to everybody today. Like I said, Bob Kravitz, Kyle Neddenriep, Rick Bozich. Man, you talk about a lineup. That's a home run. 1, 2, 3 lineup of the All-Star with the Hall of Famer there at the end. Tomorrow, more fun coming as well. Matt Taylor from the Colts will join us, of course. Chris Denari from the Pacers. We'll talk about where they are, what's going on with them. Who else is with us tomorrow, John?
Dustin.
Oh, yeah. The return of Dustin Schutte as well. Trying to get
let's go. We're over.
All right.
I push it, but we're already over.
We'll have her back tomorrow, and I thank you guys so much for today. Appreciate you. Hope you go out and have a great one, because it looks like it's going to be another fun one, just a little warmer. But until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.